Thank you for tuning in this evening. I'm Catherine Morrison, and I'm the Adult Services Manager and Assistant Director here at the Scarborough Public Library. I'm joined behind the scenes by Lucy Norval, the library's Coordinator of Programming and Communications, and Tom Corbett, our Systems Librarian. This evening, our presenter will be pausing periodically during her presentation to answer questions. As this topic has proved extremely popular, we have many people joining us this evening. We're asking people to write their questions in the chat feature and address them to the host, and then I will relay the questions to our presenter. Before we begin tonight's presentation, we're going to take a moment to hear the library's land acknowledgement read by Alan T. Paul, a member of the Maliseet Nation and a library trustee.
The Scarborough Public Library acknowledges that it is located in the traditional homeland, past and present, of tribes in the Wabanaki Confederacy. We recognize and honor the current tribes who comprise the Confederacy: the Penobscot, the Passamaquoddy, the Maliseets, and the Micmac, who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We acknowledge the Owaskoag people who once lived in what is now Scarborough. We respect the traditional values of these tribes and support their efforts for land and water protection and restoration. In offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous sovereignty, history, and experiences.
Thank you. We're pleased to have Marie Laverriere join us this evening to discuss Minimalism for Well-Being. This program is the second in our monthly Sustainable Scarborough series. We've placed this talk in the series because in addition to benefiting one's well-being, minimizing can also reduce one's environmental impact. Marie is a licensed clinical social worker who works as a mental health therapist and life coach in private practice. She also possesses a doctorate in ministry and has worked as an interfaith chaplain. She served in the Maine legislature as a representative from Biddeford, where she grew up. After several moves, she fulfilled a childhood dream by moving into a 293 square foot cottage by the beach. Marie published 2 books last year. One is Minimalism for Well-Being, a guide to simplifying all facets of your life, and A Journey to Authenticity, Finding Freedom, Peace, and Joy. Her website, marielifecoach.com, offers additional printable resources. This evening, Marie will discuss her minimalism journey and provide tips on how we too can minimize the clutter in our own physical and mental spaces in order to maximize our well-being. I'll turn it over to you, Marie. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here tonight. I welcome everyone. I hope I can give you information that's useful. So I start off by saying that I wrote these 2 books. I published them. I wrote them and published them in 2021. And I wanted to start off by saying that sometimes we need an incentive to accomplish a difficult task, such as simplifying our lives. And mine is threefold. I had my very first incentive for minimizing and was when I was 9 years old. I played in my parents' backyard as a child, and I imagined a cottage in the backyard. It had a white picket fence and 2 windows and flower boxes under the windows. And I imagined just what I needed in this little cabin, this little cottage, like a bed and a table and a chair. And I was a 9-year-old kid, so I didn't imagine much as far as furnishings because I didn't think we needed much. And the thought of that cottage, me living in it at 9 years old, was very warm and comfortable and just wonderful. So that memory stayed in my mind, in my subconscious mind at times. And the next incentive was I had been moved by the tiny home movement that quite enticed me. For the past 10 years, I've been watching videos on Netflix and other showings of people buying, building, moving into tiny homes. Some were on wheels and some were permanent, and how they live simply. And that whole feeling just totally felt good to me. And then the third enticement or incentive that I have, why I moved into this little cottage and why I minimized, was that over the years, I have loved walking on the beaches in southern Maine. And I had accepted the fact that I could never live right by the ocean because I thought I could not afford it. However, 50 years after I imagined my little cottage, I found one just like it, 20 steps from the sandy beach. And it was available for me to rent at an affordable price. To be able to move into my tiny cottage, I had to declutter, sort out, and get rid of 95% of my possessions so I could fit everything I needed to live in my new living space. My apartment was over 800 square feet, and my new cottage was 293 square feet. My incentive to minimize was that I loved this cottage and its location, and deep down, I had always wanted to live very simply, but I didn't know how to start that process until that moment when all these things came together. So my journey to living a simplified life. I have some notes that I'm looking at, so I apologize. I didn't want to be saying the same thing over and over again, and I don't want to forget anything important. So my journey to living a simplified life was a process, and not an easy one, but a one well worth my efforts. It wasn't easy for me to get rid of all the things that I did. I had to change my thinking from, will I need this one day, to I haven't used this in 1 or more years, so I don't need it. And we can add, if I need something like this in the future, I can buy it again or borrow it from a friend. When we have things that we have sentimental feelings about, perhaps, we can take a photograph of it and then give it away, either to family, friends, or a nonprofit place like Goodwill. We don't need to keep things that we don't need. And sometimes we feel bad that we have a sentimental feeling about something. It has a memory for us. So taking a photograph of it and opening up a folder in your computer and putting all those photographs there is a good idea. I kept most of my art supplies, most of my jewelry making items, my greeting card supplies, and my essential oils and supplies. I have a small collection of crystal pieces and semi-precious stones. As you can see, I kept a lot of things that I enjoy. I did, however, get rid of hundreds of books that was difficult. I really needed to lessen my load with books because I had only one shelf that I could only place 80 books on. The 4 shelving units that I have in my cottage that I utilize to store most of my possessions used to be full of books. These shelving units are 6 feet high, and some are 2 feet wide and some are 3 feet wide, and the shelves are 11-inch deep. So they're good size, and if you have an open wall, you can easily put that up there, and it hardly takes any floor space, and it's really easy to put a lot of things in there that still looks kind of neat. So the little story about the books. I've lived in Maine my whole life except for 7 years when I went to live in New Mexico. I have a sister who lives there, and I went there for 7 years. And so I moved all my books to New Mexico, and then I moved all my books back to Maine. And so I am so happy that I'm down to 80 books, and sometimes I get rid of a few more, but right now it's about 80, and that's all I can do without. I can't go less than 80 right now. The way that I purged my possessions was to measure the cottage that I was moving into and know what would fit. I brought the 4 shelving units, and on the shelves, I placed nice decorative boxes and baskets and filled them with my things. There were a few shelves, cupboards built in the cottage that I used for food, pots and pans, cleaning products, my clothing, and work items. Everything fits in just perfect. I did a great job in calculating what to bring. I also have a a small storage shed outside of my cottage. It's 4 feet by 6 feet. And basically I use it to store my old tax documents, my beach chair, my shovel, my luggage, stuff like that. 2 years ago in March, I moved my office to my small cottage, and I have been doing telehealth counseling since. I had to accommodate into my small space my office chair, 3 small locking file boxes, one which holds all of my clients' files and other pieces of paperwork, a printer, and a very small shredder. I had a normal size shredder, but I had to give that away and get a very small shredder that fits over my trash can when I use it. I also had to purchase a collapsible computer phone holder so I could work up to 7 hours a day in an ergonomic way. My cottage is not only my home, but my workplace. I was worried that I would feel closed in 24/7 in such a small space, but I have not. I truly love this little space. So right now, I'd like to stop right here and see if there's any questions that people want to have written down. Can we check in to see if there's any questions?
Marie, we do have a question. Someone says, a good place to store your books is your public library.
Yes.
Did your library usage increase after you downsized?
Did my library increase? Is that what you?
Did your library usage increase once you gave away all your book or gave away many of your books? Did you find that you were possibly taking advantage of the library?
I think that's a very good idea. However, shortly after I moved here, we had COVID and a lot of things just closed down. The libraries, some were open, some weren't. And I didn't go out much at the beginning of COVID. So, but that's a good idea. If anybody wants to get rid of their books, right, the library is the best place to bring them. Is that the only question we have?
No, we've got some more that suddenly many are popping up. Someone's asking, are you going to show these things? And I believe you are going to show a video at the end of your presentation. At the end. I forgot to mention that. So yes, there will be a video. One person's asking, how did you decide which books to keep?
Okay, well, I can answer that.
Okay.
What I did is I looked through my books. There was a time when I looked through my 1,200 books and I couldn't get rid of one. Okay, that's serious business here. But this time I knew I had to get rid of a lot of them. So I just kind of thought about, I kept a few recipe books. I do calligraphy. I do essential oils. So I kept those things that I use regularly. And I got rid of everything else. I mean, it was not an easy task. That was the hardest thing. And there was a yard sale here and it was well attended. And this lady came and she was a therapist and she bought half of my books. You know, she probably picked up 500 books or something. I was practically giving them away, but the reason was I wanted to put them in a nice place, you know, give them to people that would use them. But it was just basically the practical books that I was going to use that I kept.
We have another person asking, what was the hardest part of letting go? Maybe the hardest thing to let go.
Oh, the hardest thing to let go. Well, that's easy. It was my recliner rocker. Very comfortable chair, probably the most comfortable chair I've ever had. And I have a friend that visits with me here practically every dinner time, and we watch a movie at night. So we needed a 2-seater. And so he had a love seat that he gave me, a rocking, reclining love seat. And I had to get rid of my very comfortable rocker. The love seat's okay, but that rocker was the best.
Okay. Someone's asking, what kitchen appliances do you have in your small cottage?
You mean like a blender and that kind of thing?
Well, for instance, do you have like a full size? Do you have smaller refrigerator and stove, or do you have full size ones? Or
in the tour, you're going to see those. I have they call it apartment size stove. It's, I think, 24 inches wide. I think that's what it is, or 20 inches wide. It has 4 burners and a working oven, and it's a new stainless steel little stove, and it looks neat. Okay. And it's gas. And then I have a refrigerator freezer. It's the same thing as a big one, except it's probably half the size of a regular size one. Okay.
Someone's asking, do you ever feel claustrophobic or stir crazy, and how do you manage that? If you do.
The funny thing about it is I do have claustrophobia if I'm in a tiny space, but I noticed that if the ceiling's low, I'm 5'9", so if there's a low ceiling, I will have claustrophobia. But here, the owner, when he bought all these cottages, there's like maybe 7 or 8 cottages on the premises. He did cathedral ceilings, So the ceilings are really high. And so I don't have claustrophobia at all whatsoever.
Someone else is asking, if you built your own tiny house from scratch rather than having moved into one, what would you do differently?
Well, the one that I have now, it has a Murphy bed. I don't know if you all know what a Murphy bed is, but basically you pull it down to sleep at night and you pull it back up to live in, to have living space in the daytime. So I would probably build a little room out back to have a bed that I don't have to put up and down and put the covers on it every night, that kind of thing. But that's all. It takes me like 30 seconds to put that thing down and fix it. So it's nothing to complain about, but that's what I would do differently. That's about it. And maybe a screened in porch or a 2-season porch or something in the front.
Okay. Someone's asking how you found your cottage.
Well, in a nutshell, I had moved back from New Mexico and moved into the North Dam Mills apartments. They were a very nice apartment. And my mother was well, and I spent a lot of time with her. And then she got sick and died. And she was like 95% of my social life. So I decided that I needed to do something to get friends and have things to do. So I went on Match.com and I found my friend. And he told me about this property that he owns, and he showed me what he had, and he told me that he had converted them to condos, and that one day he'll sell them, and that if I wanted to rent one in the meantime, and maybe even eventually buy one, he says I was welcome to do that, and that's how I found my cottage.
Someone else is asking, are there any more for rent? Are there any available? They say
Well, right now
sounds good. So
it's a good deal, but right now he's full and he's not interested. He's not ready to sell them. He's had them for 40 years. He built them from condemned buildings practically. He really put a lot of energy and work into them, and he's had them for 40 years. And he keeps on saying, this year I'm going to sell them, but he's not able to do that right now. He likes being in charge and taking care of them. It keeps him busy. So he's not selling them yet. And right now they're pretty much all rented.
Okay. Are most of the people there seasonally, or are there other people that live there year round in the cottages?
People that live here year round, pretty much.
Okay.
Yep.
And I guess we'll see this. I think someone's asking if you have a loft.
Nope, I do not have a loft.
Okay.
Nope.
And maybe you'll discuss this a little bit in the next section about what steps you can take towards minimalism without going as far or as small as the 293-foot cottage. So
yes, I am definitely going to talk about that. So maybe it's a good time to start the next section.
Okay.
So my definition of minimalism, I prefer to call it simplifying life or living a simplified life. It's personal. Everyone does it differently. Some people live in bigger houses and some live in tiny homes. The rule is to get rid of what you don't need, use, or enjoy. Organizing is not the same as simplifying, because one can organize and keep everything, but just move it around. By simplifying, we get rid of things that we don't need, use, or enjoy. When we simplify, we live with less things, less thoughts, less activities, which can result in less responsibilities, and our time is usually more open to do things that we enjoy. An example would be that it takes me 30 minutes to clean my cottage, and it used to take me 4 hours to clean my larger apartment. So I have like 3.5 hours to do something I like. I could go take a walk on the beach. I am 20 steps away from the ocean. I can do some fun things, go get some coffee, whatever. There's a sense of freedom that comes with going on the journey to living a simplified life. However, it's a process. And to be honest, when I started to simplify, declutter, and get rid of stuff before I moved into my small cottage, I was a bit nervous. I began my process by measuring the tiny cottage that I was moving into. And I said it earlier that I figured out that I could bring 4 of my shelving units to store most of my possessions. I sorted through my things in each room in my old apartment, and I kept just what I needed from the bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, and living area. It took me 3 months to pack and to sort and minimize everything until I felt that I had just what I needed, enjoyed what I enjoy and what I love to keep. And I could fit it all in my new tiny space. Within this 3 months time, I went through my stuff, my everything 3 times. And each time I was able to get rid of a little more. I had boxes of things to donate to a nonprofit, and the many pieces of furniture that I knew that I had to leave behind, I offered to my 2 daughters. So my approach to minimalism, and I want to say that minimalism is extremely personal. People can live in big houses, medium-sized houses. They don't have to move into a tiny cottage. That was just me and my little 9-year-old imagination, dream. And I was ready to do that, but people can live in regular houses, regular size houses, still be minimalists or living a simplified life. So my approach to minimalism or simplifying my life includes 5 areas. Simplify our spaces by decluttering and getting rid of our possessions and keeping only what we need and love. Now, I don't mean getting rid of everything that we possess, but just some of our stuff that we no longer use. The second one is choosing the thoughts in our minds and declutter our thinking and keeping only thoughts that work for us. After I moved into my tiny cottage or my tiny home, I worked on minimizing my thoughts. I noticed the negative thoughts that I allowed myself to think, and I worked on changing them to positive ones. Again, this is a process, and it takes time and practice to accomplish. I was committed to having positive thoughts because it felt more life-affirming for me. Feeling peace for me is of utmost importance. So anything that takes the feeling of peace away, I try not to engage in. I dislike giving someone else my peace. And the third part of my definition of minimalism or my approach is manage our use of time by taking control of our schedules. The third place that I wanted to simplify was my calendar. I wanted to have a peaceful schedule so that I could slow down and not feel rushed. I noticed that when I feel rushed, I'm impatient and short-tempered because I don't like to feel pressure. It gives me anxiety and causes me stress. I minimize my schedule, and this caused me to feel happy and able to slow down and have moments where I can reflect on my life. And the fourth place is create a balance in life with work, play, self-care. We have approximately 8 life categories. And the balance that I'm talking about is in these 8 sections or parts of our lives. And these are just my definition of them. You can come up with your own wording, but these are in my books. Career or work or our finances. The flow of money in our lives, that's one part of our lives. Money can come from our careers, living our purpose, or from other sources. Our relationship to money is an interesting factor in how it flows in our lives. Fear or lack of having some causes a shortage of it, and an attitude of abundance can encourage a constant flow of more than enough. The choice is ours. Careers and jobs are just part of our lives, so we must be careful that we don't allow it to become so big that it takes over all other categories and we become unbalanced. The other part of our life, the other category, the second one, and they're not in importance, in order of importance, they're just in order that I have them. It's sleep time. This category is sometimes forgotten. We only allow ourselves to rest with the time we have left over at the end of everything else that needs to be done. Rest is very important to our quality of life, as well as to our mental health. 8 to 9 hours of sleep is important to have for most people, and sometimes we can get away with 7, but anything less than this may be hurtful to us. So we need to make sure that we have enough sleep time. The third category of life is family and friends. This category includes our relationships with friends, close ones and acquaintances, family, and immediate and extended. Friends and family can take a lot of our time, especially if they're needy or going through difficult times. We must be careful to have healthy boundaries with people we care about and love so that we can remain balanced in our own lives. So I always say, it's important to delegate when we have a family member that needs a lot of help. We can delegate and get other people to help out. It's not abandoning people here. It's just making sure that everybody helps out. So one person's not stuck doing it all and get sick over it. Intimacy in partners. This is the fourth section of category of life. And this category includes our intimate partner. Some people marry, others live together in a committed relationship. Some people want to live separately and be companions. There's all kinds of different models. People are free to create their intimate relationship models that works for both of them. Intimate relationships take energy and time to form and nurture. These relationships must be supportive, respectful, and life-giving for both involved. So I go on to the fifth category of life, and that's creativity and self-expression, meaning and life purpose. It's all in one category. This category includes activities we do to allow ourselves to express our creativity. Creativity is a human need, and we must express it because it helps us find meaning in our lives. Self-expression is an authentic way that people allow their passion to flow. We benefit because it connects us to ourselves, and others benefit because our expression may enrich their lives. When we express our creativity, it usually feeds our souls, which in turn nurtures our body and mind. We can only experience well-being when we have balance in body, mind, and soul. And I'm going to give you some examples of creative expression. It could be photography. We all own, pretty much all of us own a phone that has a camera in it. And so that's a very easy thing to do as a creative expression. Some people paint pictures, draw, garden, sew, knit, all kinds of ways of creating things. And I think it's important to make space in our lives to do that. The sixth category of life is personal growth and education. This category includes formal education as well as certifications and self-enrichment courses for personal growth. It can include reading books, articles, as well as viewing DVDs and listening to CDs or YouTube offerings and TED Talks. There's all kinds of courses online that people can take. It's an important category of life that we need to tend to once in a while. And the next one, 7, recreational and fun times. This category includes fun, playful times, time off to relax and enjoy, watching movies, walk on the beach, dinner with a friend, a vacation, trip. The 8th category is health and wellness. This category includes the food we choose to eat to nurture our bodies and mind. Wellness is the care we give ourselves to be balanced and healthy. Physical exercise, spiritual consciousness, awareness practices, and healthy positive thoughts can all be represented in health and wellness. So how, let me see here. How do we live life with meaning and purpose? The last area of simplifying is my life purpose. So I have these 5 categories, and this is the 5th one. On my journey, I realized that my purpose at this time is to live very simply, doing things that feeds my soul and gives me joy and peace. I work 3 days a week. On the other 4 days, I allow myself creative time, rest time, self-care time, visits with friends on the phone, mostly since COVID, play opportunities, as well as enrichment endeavors. Working 3 days a week allows me to avoid burnout. Excuse me. I do take 2 to 4 weeks of vacation every year. A good tool to help us visualize our lives is to create a vision board. Sometimes when we look at our lives and we want to change something in it, and we're not sure how we want it to look, then sometimes a visual vision board, how we do that is we just get a poster board and some old magazines and scissors and a glue stick, and we just create a collage of pictures that signifies how we want our life to look and what's important to us to incorporate in our lives. So at this point, I'd like to take a little break again to see if there's any questions.
Okay, we do have some more questions. So someone's asking about the book. So the book does include some of these tips that you're talking about.
Sure, yes.
And then another person's asking, how did you decide which mementos to keep?
Okay. Well, about the book has, I forget how many chapters, but it has worksheets after some of the chapters to help people kind of process their own desires of how to move forward and simplifying their lives. So mementos, how did I choose my mementos? Let me see. I don't have a lot of knickknacks. I don't like the dust. But I did keep a few pieces of crystal. I went to Sedona and bought a lot of crystal pieces and semi-precious stones, and I kept a few of them because I had space for a few of them. When you see the tour at the end of this talk of my cottage, the tour of my cottage, you're going to see the limited space that I have, and you might be able to see some of my mementos. I do have a Buddha statue. I call it an altar in one of my shelving units with a little fake candle. It's a candle with battery operated, and it looks real. It's really nice. And I have a bamboo plant, and you know, so these are my mementos, things that are meaningful to me, I guess, is what I kept.
Someone's asking if this moving into the cottage has changed the way you work, COVID notwithstanding. So I'm not sure can't remember how long you moved in before. It was right before COVID, and that changed the way you worked, or had you already worked from home before?
Well, I had an office on Route 1, and if people drive by Route 1 and the Pine Point Road and Route 1 in Scarborough, they'll see my sign up on that building because I used to have an office over there. And I moved here in September, and then in March, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 6 months later, COVID was in full bloom. So I had moved in that office space probably a year before, and I was working 3 days a week then. So it didn't really change the hours I work or the days I worked. I don't think anything really changed about my work, except that I do telehealth instead of face-to-face, and I enjoy telehealth, and my clients are all very happy to not have to travel to my office. So it's working out perfectly that way. I don't know if I answered the question.
I think so.
Okay.
Someone's asking about the popular Swedish death cleaning and maybe also the Marie Kondo. Were you inspired by either of those?
Well, Marie Kondo, I did
or...
watch. Yeah, I did watch Marie Kondo. The other thing I have not heard of before, but Marie Kondo, she has my name, so yes, I was attracted to see what she was doing. And I watched her on Netflix, and I was impressed with her going into a very messy house and helping people organize it. I don't think that's the kind of work I'd like to do, but I'd like to encourage people to do that. But to actually, I thought I was going to do that, but then COVID came, and I wasn't going to go in people's homes at that point. So, but Marie Kondo has some good points about how to organize things. And when you minimize and you have very little space, you really need to use your space very well. And people in Japan, you know, they have small spaces. They have Murphy beds, you know, so they're pros at this kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And I believe the Swedish death cleaning, we have that book here at the library, is reducing and cleaning out your things so that your family isn't burdened by them after you pass away.
I have had a thought of that. Yes, I was inspired. I didn't know about that particular book or anything, but you know, I'm 65 and I have 3 children, adult children, and my mother passed away 4 years ago, and went to go through all of her stuff. She was, I wouldn't say she was a pack rat, but boy, she did have a lot of stuff in that little apartment of hers. I wanted to be able to minimize to the point of when I'm old enough to have to, you know, or pass away, whatever, my kids won't have to spend more than an hour to get rid of the stuff that needs to get rid of. So, yeah.
Someone's asking how you would advise teaching these concepts, or, you know, how to prioritize things to children. Do you have any suggestions specifically for children?
Well, children, I'm thinking that I do listen to the minimalists. There's 2 guys that have, I think one of them has a young child, and children learn from their parents. If their parents, you know, value having a few things that they really enjoy, then they teach their children that that's a way to living. If children are brought up in the secular world, whatever you want to call it, you know, where you buy a lot of toys and you have big spaces, it'll be hard for them to minimize. But if you make it into a fun thing, they usually go along with it. I know that my kids, when they were growing up, they had a lot of toys and they played only with a few of them. So I guess it's important just to be aware of what your child likes, and just encourage them to take care of the things that they do like. And I know that the minimalists, they encourage their kids to get rid of toys after so many months and get new ones because, they get new ones because of birthdays and whatever holidays. And then they are encouraged to donate their old ones to other children or whatever. So kids they really go along with the parents' ways of doing things most of the time, especially the little ones.
Mhm. Someone's asking, what do you splurge on?
What do I splurge on?
Yeah.
Oof, I don't
If
know.
anything.
I splurge on walking on the beach. I love walking on the beach. I had a dog when I moved here, Rumi. I hope I can go through saying that without falling apart here, but he died 3 months ago, not quite 3 months ago. He was only 6.5 years old. He was a standard poodle, and he was my therapy dog. He used to come to the office with me, and my clients loved him. And I was splurging on him. And we fit here well, he's 75 pounds, and he came down with a very bad cancer, like an aggressive cancer, and within 18 days he died. So it was really hard. It was sudden. Splurge on. I splurge on food. I don't buy a lot of food, but I have real good quality food, and that's what I would say I splurge on the most.
Okay. Well, I'm very sorry about Rumi. There's
Thank you.
Beautiful picture of him on the back of your book.
Yeah.
Someone's asking, how many people can you comfortably fit in your home?
Well, if it's not COVID,
Yeah.
if we don't have COVID,
Right.
I can comfortably seat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people.
Wow.
And then in the summertime, I have an outside wooden picnic table that sits about eight people. So.
Someone's asking the name of your book, so I'll read it again. It's Minimalism for Well-Being, a guide to simplifying all facets of your life. Oh,
yeah, that's what it looks like.
And we do we do have a couple of copies now at the library. You generously donated one, and we bought a couple more because there was such a demand for this topic. So
are we all done with the questions?
Well, there's a couple of more. I don't know if you want to take them now or.
Sure.
Someone's asking about time management tips.
Well, it's funny because that's my next issue.
Okay. So maybe we'll skip that one.
Okay.
And then, do your children live nearby?
An hour. So they're not too close, but I visit with them once in a while. Yeah.
You don't need to stay over if they come to see you.
No,
So,
they can't stay over here.
Right.
It would be very tight. It would be very tight.
Maybe we'll see this in the video. How do you go about storing clothes, especially from different seasons?
Well, I have I call it a cubby. It's one of those square shelving that's quite, like, I would say probably 20 inches tall by 24 inches wide by 24 inches deep. And I have shirts and pants for the winter that I fold in there, and shorts and short sleeve shirts for the summer. And they all fit in there. All of my wardrobe's in there, pretty much. I have a few dresses in my little 19-inch closet that you will see on the video.
Well, someone is commenting that they see 7 sets of salad and dinner plates and bowls behind you, but now we know that you can fit. They're wondering how you can use so many, but you've said that you can fit 7 people in your.
Yeah, I have those because this is the story. I have an aunt that's 99 years old, and when we have some holidays, I bring her a plate, and then I have another neighbor who's not very well, and I give him a plate. So I keep these plates for serving other people outside of my house. And I'm planning on getting my friend is planning on getting a mobile kind of a bee kind of a van. And so we can travel, and I'm planning on bringing half of my dishes there.
Okay.
So I got rid of a quarter of my dishes, but not the whole
Wow.
thing, because I'm
Okay.
planning to use it for something else.
And maybe we'll see this in the video too, but what kind of heating system do you have?
We have a propane wall. You will see it in the video. It's
Okay.
very powerful, and it's very, very efficient. I turned it off for the video because it makes a lot of noise. So, but it's very well heated.
Okay, and that's all the
Okay.
questions we have, so.
Great. So a good way to get started in simplifying our lives is to ask ourselves, what do I value in my life? And create your list of things, people, and events that you value. This list will lead you to a better understanding what's important to you. What's not important, you can let go. So I'm going to give you an idea of what I wrote for my list of what I value in my life. It's on page 23 to 24. And just to give you an idea, because these are very simple things. 23, okay. And they're not in order of importance. They're just there. Being creative on a regular basis is something I really value. Spending time with my companion, friend, spending time with friends, having some connection to my grandkids, being a kind person, experiencing freedom, peace, and joy in my life every day, taking time to practice mindfulness and conscious awareness. I do a 5-minute meditation and I journal every day. Eating good and healthy foods, having a comfortable bed and pillow, having a powerful shower with lots of hot water with pressure, reading books that I enjoy, writing and publishing books, taking a daily walk on the beach with my friend, being an inspiring therapist, helping my clients find their inner power and peace, living in a tiny home, cottage very close to the ocean, practicing minimalism, living a simplified life, listening to music, playing my guitar and singing, being healthy, wearing simple and comfortable clothing and footwear, being able to stay warm in the winter and cool in the summer, being loved and loving, watching monarch butterflies and hummingbirds and other birds, seeing and smelling flowers, making enough money to live comfortably, working 3 days a week and having 4 days off, watching TV to keep informed and watching movies. I'm not going to read all of them, but having a daily cup of coffee, of excellent coffee, in a white porcelain cup. I fell in love with this cold brew stuff that I have every day. These are the things I'm talking about when I say make a list of everything you value in your life. So it's things, people, and events. Events is like taking a walk on the beach or taking a vacation every year or whatever. So it's important for us to do that because then we know what's important to us. And then when we go through our stuff, we have a sort of like a map. Other important things to think about when we're in the process of minimizing or simplifying our lives is our use of time. One of our greatest resources, and it's limited. So how do we spend it is very important. If you want to check in with yourself on how you spend your time, you can do a circle on a piece of paper, a good size circle, maybe a 6-inch circle, and divide the circle in pie slices, the size that reflects how much time you spend on that particular thing. An example can be sleep. I spend about 8 hours of sleep a day. So I do a circle and 1/3 of my circle is sleep. And then I work about 8 hours a day on the days that I work. So that would be another 1/3 of the circle. And then it leaves another 1/3 of the pie, of the piece of the pie, empty. So you look at the different categories of life that, play, enrichment, creating, and you fill out what you want to do, spend time with friends and family and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I figured out my time and what I want to do with it. So it's sometimes we need to have a visual thing to realize how we spend things, time-wise. It's important to see it on paper sometimes. Money is another important factor. How much do I need? We need enough to pay all of our expenses and live comfortably. Most of us is how that we feel. Listing our expenses and income and comparing them is a smart thing to do. This way you can make decisions on how much time you really need to work and provide yourself what you want. Some people work really hard and they make a lot of money and they don't always use the money wisely, but I'm just saying that they work a lot more than they need to. and they're killing themselves and not enjoying life. And sometimes family time is robbed because they don't have time to spend with their families because they're working too hard, but really they don't need to sometimes. Other times we need to work really hard because we need to pay up some bills so we can actually then make a change in our lives so that we can live more comfortably with working less. So it's different for everyone. But just knowing we have choices is important. Being authentic is another important aspect of simplifying our lives. To let go of ways of being that no longer work for us. It's important that we can be ourselves and not try to accommodate what others think we should be. Show up as you are more than enough. The next thing that I think is important to explore is our beliefs and how they influence us or block us from moving forward. So let's say you desire to have a more simplified life and you think about it and you really want to do it and you're just not able to go, just not able to move forward with it. There might be a belief that you have in your mind and you've had it since you were a kid or something that prevents you from living simply because there's a judgment about that. There's a belief in your mind that says that you need to have a big house or people will think that you're poor. I don't know, something like that. So our beliefs are very important to actually look at so we can know how our lives is being motivated or what influences our decisions in our lives. Our beliefs do. An example for me was not thinking that I could ever live near the ocean or beach. I thought I would never have enough money to do that. So the use of this tool that I think that one of the people helping with this presentation tonight is going to put up as one of the resources is called tatlife.com. It's a tool that's very helpful in helping a person move past the limiting beliefs that we have, so that we can move forward with our life choices. So tatlife.com is a website of a woman who created this tool to help us unblock beliefs that we might have. How to simplify our lives? Where do we start when we have decided to simplify our lives and get rid of everything we don't need or use? This is the most difficult thing to do, to start, where to start. I'll make some suggestions on how to proceed. So we can start with our clothing and accessories. And I think Marie Kondo does this. She makes people take everything out of their closets, their cupboard, their drawers, and she has them put it on the floor or on the bed or on the couch and go through every single piece. And she says something about if it speaks to you or something like that. Well, I think that, that's one way to do it for sure. But I want you to start off first, though, to make a list on a piece of paper of how many outfits that you do need. Now, I need about, I don't know, I don't like to dry my pants and shirts in the dryer. So I need enough outfits that I can let them dry on their own. So like 8 outfits is all I need. So I made sure that that's what I have. So if you take a piece of paper and write down how many outfits that you need, then you start going through your clothing and then you get rid of things that you haven't worn for a long time or you don't like or don't fit you. So I say, take all your clothing, get in a room where you have some privacy, have a long mirror, a full length mirror, and try on all the clothing. And what the colors that you don't think fit you well, don't keep those. The ones that don't fit you size-wise, don't keep those. The ones that don't feel comfortable on your skin, don't keep those. So those are the 3 questions that I asked myself. Does it fit? Does it feel good on my skin? And does the color feel good on me? So then that's how that one can get rid of some clothing that that they're not using. It's that simple. The next place to declutter and simplify is your toiletries, all your body care products, your medicine cabinets, and your makeup products. You go through your body care products such as soap, shampoo, conditioner, lotion, deodorant, hair gel. You put the ones that you use in the shower, in the caddy, in the shower, and the other ones you leave in the basket or box that you can grab easily to use on a daily basis, and everything else, you just get rid of it. It's, again, not always easy to get rid of stuff that you might have paid a lot of money for, but you tried it and you didn't like it, so get rid of it. Kitchen items and food. Approach your dishes, glasses, coffee cups, fork, knives, spoons, utensils, pot and pans, cooking pans, and other cooking utensils with the mindset that you'll get rid of everything that you do not use. If you want to keep a few things that you haven't used a lot, but you think you may, then do so. It's not getting rid of things that you feel you need. It's getting rid of things that you haven't used for a long time and that you do not need. So I kept pots and pans. I kept 7 of them of varied sizes because I felt like I could use them regularly. In the kitchen, it's very important to be organized with our things so we can find them when we need them. So I have things like baskets behind me where I keep in the basket, I keep my plastic wrap, wax, paper, foil, and bags in one basket, and stuff like that. Just kind of like organizing our stuff so we know where they are and they're easy to reach. Going through our house cleaning products can be challenging because most of us have a lot of them. We accumulate them very quickly. We only need a few. We need a window cleaner, toilet cleaner, multi-surface cleaner, and disinfectant cleaner. We also need dish soap and hand soap. With food, we all have different diets and eating habits. And when we simplify our lives, the best way to do so with meals is to make a list of the meals you love. Keep them simple. I only spend 30 minutes making dinners. With my list of meals, I rotate them around weekly, and it makes it very simple for me to deal with meals without much fuss. So I make a list of the favorite meals that I have, me and my friend like, and I just know that I'm going to make one of those, 7 of those this coming week or whatever. So if you have that organization, it makes things simple. And when you go to the food store, I can't buy a lot of food because of my refrigerator and my freezer are not that big. So I have to plan a little bit that way. And when you have something that is sentimental and you don't use it or you don't need it, take a picture of it and put it on your computer in a file of your photos of sentimental value. So books, I already talked about my books. I have 4 academic degrees, so I accumulated a lot of books over the years. And getting rid of my books was difficult. But now that I am on with so many less books, I am very happy about it. I don't miss them. So, excuse me. The next item that I have to declutter is paperwork. I had a 4-drawer filing cabinet. At one time I had 2 of those in my home, 8 drawers of filing cabinets full of paperwork. And so before I moved, this was the last thing that I sorted because I hate tedious and detailed things, and paperwork is very tedious and detailed. And I threw away everything I didn't need, and I kept the stuff that was very important. And I ended up with a 2-drawer filing cabinet that you'll see on the tour later. And so I brought a lot of stuff to Goodwill in the process of decluttering. And you can donate your stuff to any organization, but this was convenient for me. And I brought him a lot of stuff. So one day I needed a 2-drawer filing cabinet, and online they were like $125 to $200, those 2-drawer ones, the good ones. So I went into Goodwill one day looking for one, and there was a perfectly new one, very good shape and very high quality for $10. So I say, I was reaping the positive energy that I had sent there. The next item to sort through are bedroom sheets and blankets, bathroom towels, kitchen towels, and other linens. Just keep what you need in the spare set of sheets. We also have knickknacks, wall hangings, plants, and clocks. Again, keep what you need and enjoy, and get rid of the rest. Sometimes people give us gifts that fall into this category. I collect them and put them in a box and regift or sell them at a yard sale if I don't have room for them and it's not something that I absolutely love. Whatever is left after the yard sale, I usually bring to a place like Goodwill just to clear it out. I don't keep things like that because it's dangerous. You might go through it and bring it back in the house. The next and last category is office tools and supplies, hardware tools, art tools, and supplies. Keep what you need and enjoy and rest. The rest of it, toss it. So I have on my 4 shelving units, I have 42 boxes and baskets filled with the things that I believe I need in my life to be comfortable. And why I think living a simplified life helps our well-being. I'm almost done. When simplifying our lives, we experience a deep sense of purpose and meaning because in the process of decluttering, we have to examine what we truly value and incorporate it into our lives. This path of living a simple life allows us space to experience peace and joy, the process of decluttering is also very freeing. There's a lightness that comes to me after I declutter every 6 months. I try to keep it up every 6 months. I experience an understanding in my life purpose that as I did this work of simplifying in my own life, it was so compelling for me that I was moved to write a second book entitled A Journey to Authenticity, Finding Freedom, Peace, and Joy. It is a tiny book of 87 pages. In this book, I write about how I came to realize that my choice in living a simplified life was part of my life purpose. One could call it part of my spiritual practice. I am grateful to be moving forward with this practice because it feels wonderful, and I have a bit of sadness that I did not figure this all out before now, because my life would have been a bit more peaceful over the years. So in closing, again, my website is marielifecoach.com. And I have a link on there if you're interested in purchasing the books. And there's also, I also am offering a self-care workshop in April, and there's a link for that also if you're interested in looking that up. It's not only for social workers, even though, you know, it's there as a CEU class. And I want to thank you all for listening to my presentation. And now I was going to invite Lucy to play the 8-minute video of the tour of my house. And after that, if you still have any questions, I'd be glad to stay and answer them. Hello, my name is Marie Laverriere, and I wanted to give you a tour of my tiny cottage. And I am not very good with electronics. I'm a good life coach and therapist, however, and a writer, but when it comes to using electronics, I'm not. So this is the outside of my cottage, and I will walk you in and give you a tour of the living space. So when I walk in, on my left is the table. I have 2 chairs in front of 2 windows, and there's a stove and oven and a refrigerator, and they're both small. They're both called apartment appliances with a very generous cupboard on top of it, and the side space to store things as well. A little shelving for my spices, cutting board, and again a very generous countertop underneath the counter for storage of soaps and pots and pans. And then on my right, when I walked in, is behind the door I have my coat rack. I keep my trash can there, as well as my first shelving unit, 1 out of 4. So this first shelving unit, the bottom has bags. The shelf from the bottom has food in it. There's a microwave with more food, dishes, glasses, cups, and my 4 electrical appliance, or should I say kitchen electrical appliances. And then as we walk into the living space, there's a little cupboard with CDs, DVDs, over my collections of crystal pieces, and then I have a 2-drawer filing cabinet with a copy machine, because 2 years ago in March I moved my office at home. So walk into the living room space, and on the left is an electric heater that's very quiet when I meet with clients. The old heater here that I have on my wall next to the little cupboard is propane heater, excellent source of heat, but very loud. The fan is very loud. So then as I said, we move into the living space, and there's a chest. I keep my bedding in there, and then there's a cabinet in the wall that I have my, believe it or not, the top one has my essential oils. The next one has my business stuff. The third down is my clothing. That's all my clothing, pretty much, except what I have a few pieces hanging in my closet. And then again, business. My filing, my little lockbox for my filing, for my files, for my client files. And the bottom one has my boots. Little side table here. And then this is my Murphy bed. As I said, I I have a Murphy bed, so you pull it down to sleep on at night and you pull it back up in the daytime. And this one, the TV is on the front of it, so when I pull it down, I can't see the TV anymore, which is fine because when it's time to go to bed, I don't watch TV usually. The top of my Murphy bed is my shelf for my books. I went from like over 1,000 books to 90 books. Then I have the baskets on top of that with stuff in it. And then my chair for work, I have a collapsible holder for my computer and phone, and I move my chair to the left here, and I put my file cabinets on top of the chest and my collapsible computer holder, and that's how I conduct business at home. And then we have shelving number 2, and shelving number 2 holds my copier, my jewelry making paper, other things, boxes of different things. And then I have the bathroom, which we'll go in later, and this is shelving number 3. Again, I have a whole bunch of stored things in these baskets and boxes, and my altar is on the top shelf. Well, should I say the first shelf? And some people find it very helpful to have an altar. We put everything that makes us feel like happy on that altar, and we look at it ever so often. I have this little 19-inch closet that I put jackets and coats and a few dresses and my cleaning brush, brooms and stuff like that in the corner. Then I have the 4th shelving unit here that has again more boxes and baskets, and my little fairy light tree, my air purifier. And I'll finish this room. I have my diplomas, which is a little too much here, but I did not know where to put them, so I haven't figured that out yet. Then I have my love seat that rocks and reclines. So that is the space. So when I go here, show you the whole floor space thing, this is the room that I live in, and it includes this little part here with the kitchen. So 293 square feet is not a lot of space, but there's cathedral ceilings in here, makes it look a lot bigger, feels very comfortable for me. I do not feel like I live in a tight space, or I work in a tight space. I do not feel that. The bathroom is a good sized bathroom. First we start off with the sink with nice storage underneath there and a medicine cabinet on top. And then I have the small shower, regular size. And we have a window here. In the summertime, that's where my air conditioner goes. And then I did purchase a collapsible machine for exercise, a treadmill. And then you can see me take my pictures here to add the toilet, more storage, more shelving, and a little trash can. And then let's not forget the shoe rack behind the door. Very important to have that. It holds all of my shoes. My boots are held in that bottom cupboard, and my shoes are there. So as you can see, I have a pretty small space, but it feels fine for me. I never felt like I was confined, and I spent my entire time here working, living. And at one time I had a 75-pound standard poodle roomie who lived with me here, and it was very comfortable. So that finishes my little unprofessional camera experience tour of my tiny cottage. Thank you.
That was a great video, and are you always that neat? Is it always that neat, or did you have to clean up for the video?
No, you have to keep it very clean and neat, because if you don't, these little spaces get really bad if you don't keep everything in its place.
Right.
And it's part of my personality, so I don't have a problem doing that.
Well, thank you. I think, let's see if we have any other questions. So I just want to let people know that we have recorded the program, and that includes the video that you just showed. So we will be sending that recording out in probably about a week or less to everyone who registered. It takes us a little while to do the editing, but we will send that out, and then we'll also have it up on our website for anyone who wasn't able to make it tonight. So let's see if we've got any more last comments here. We did put your website up, so it's marielifecoach.com. And that other website you recommended was tatlife, TATLIFE.com. Right. Okay. Let's see. People are thanking you, saying this is wonderful.
Well, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the tour. Impressed by how organized everything is. Great information, and looking forward to reading the book. So yeah, you have on your website, you have a link to the book.
Yes.
That people can buy it online.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, and it goes right there. Yep.
Amazon, okay. And just thanking you for sharing your wisdom. So thanks again, Marie. That was
Thank
a wonderful
you.
presentation. And I
Thank
want
you
to
very
let everyone know that our next program in our Sustainable Scarborough series, we want you to save the date for this. It's going to be on Thursday, February 24th at 6:30 on Zoom. And it's going to be a presentation by the Citizens Climate Lobby, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan grassroots advocacy organization. And their program will be on climate solutions for big climate problems. So look for information on that. That will be up on our website soon, and also in our library email newsletter. So thank you to everyone for coming. Thank you for all your wonderful questions. And thank you again, Marie.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon in the library.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.